every day there's a samurai saying that every step of life is another step towards death, which is true. I keep what they call a death clock. I have a Stoic app, and what you do is you plug in the average lifetime expectancy of an American male now is 78, and you put in your own age, and it comes up with, in this case, well, hi, this is Mike Howard. Welcome to another edition of the Ronin Leadership Podcast. I hope you're having a good season, a good spring. We've been plenty busy here at the Ronin Leadership Podcast, and I thank all of you for subscribing to our channel. We're continuing to grow our subscribership, and I'm really happy to announce that my latest book, The Omega Deception, last week was #1 bestseller on Amazon in categories of thriller and also spy intrigue. And so that's really gratifying. We also got like #3 in some international categories, some international arenas. So it's been great. So thank you for that. Please go to mikehowardauthor.com to see where you can get all my books and all the podcast recordings from the Ronin Leadership Podcast. Please continue to hit the like button, the subscribe button, and also share this with people so we can continue to grow and get out new content for all of you. We're plenty busy, all of us in this world. I know I am. Even in retirement, I've got a lot of things going on. I got the podcasting, I do my blog, I do different content, and I'm also writing, and I run a Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department Foundation Board of Directors. I'm on several advisory boards. We work out 4 days out of the week. We have our own foundation. We're helping at-risk youth. So I've got a lot of things going on. And I ran across this book called Ichigo Ichie, the book of Ichigo Ichie. It's Japanese. That's Ichigo Ichie. It's the art of making the most of every moment the Japanese way by Héctor García and Francesc Miralles. And we'll have a link to their book because I'm telling you, they bill it as a transformative book, and it really is. To me, it has transformed me greatly. People know me that I'm always trying to find ways to better myself physically, mentally, spiritually, and whether it's stoicism or my faith or cold plunging or whatever it is, the rituals that I have to try to push myself and be more resilient. I'm always looking for something. And I was looking at YouTube one time recently, and I saw this thing called Ichigo Ichie, and I'd never heard of that term before. I mean, I've been a student of Japanese philosophy for many years, and also with martial arts, it has its own philosophical bent. And I was, but I never heard of this. And basically, there are various translations, but basically it means one moment, one meeting, one opportunity, one encounter, meaning that every encounter that we have, whether it's an encounter with a person or it's a sip of water, or whether it's a walk outside or a conversation with your spouse or a stranger, that's a once in a lifetime opportunity because that will never happen again at that exact same time, at exact same moment, with the exact same words, so that every encounter, everything that you do is a once in a lifetime thing. So you have to savor every moment and really cherish every moment as unique because it truly is. And so as I read this book, I devoured this book in a day. The authors are really great in describing the essence of Ichigo Ichie and then giving practical examples how to implement it into your life. And I dog-eared pages and I was marking pages, and I loved it. And so at its core, right? Take the example of you having your morning coffee. A lot of us have our morning coffee in the morning. We have a French press, we make coffee, and I'll sit and I'll journal and I'll have my coffee and I've got some news on as part of my morning ritual. Ichigo Ichie takes this a step further and says, okay, so you take that scenario, take a look at that cup of coffee. Are you really enjoying the coffee, the smell of the coffee, the taste of the coffee, the feel of the mug? Are you appreciating being able to sit there with a certain amount of solitude or quietness and enjoy that moment? Or are you too busy trying to journal or too busy listening to whatever bad things happening in the world? Or are you just enjoying that cup of coffee? And this all came from the 16th century. There was a Buddhist monk and also a master of tea called Sen no Rikyu, who really developed this concept of what is now the Japanese tea ceremony. I've never experienced one myself, but I have seen it on TV, and perhaps a lot of you have seen it, and that's now on my bucket list to see a Japanese tea ceremony. But it's really about savoring the tea. But beyond that, it's about the ritual of the tea master, how how they make the tea, how he or she makes the tea, how they use the whisk and the bowl and the tea and the water and the various implements, the spoons, in a ritualized manner to emphasize the beauty of each aspect of making that tea so that you're appreciative of that bowl, that whisk, which in of themselves are just mundane objects, but put together brings you a once in a lifetime experience. Um, so for the tea master, that's his or her job to do, to present that to the people having the tea. For the people receiving the tea, it's uh, Ichigo Ichie is really about savoring that moment, watching them make that tea, and then drinking that tea and understanding what it feels like to hold a teacup and to smell and to drink it. Right? That's where this all came from. The idea of savoring life, taking a step back, understanding that every moment is a moment that is unique and would not to be repeated. Because you might go back to that same tea ceremony the next day with the same person making the tea, but it's a different day. You'll probably be wearing different clothes. May not be starting on the exact same time that it started the day before. So that thing that happened before that tea ceremony is unique. All right. Every day, there's a samurai saying that every step of life is another step towards death, which is true. I keep what they call a death clock. I have a Stoic app, and what you do is you plug in the average lifetime expectancy of an American male now is 78, and you put in your own age, and it comes up with, in this case, if I were to die at age 78, I hope to live a lot longer than that. But if I were to die at age 78, 9 years, 4 months, 19 days I have left. And I keep this. I look at this every morning. Why? Not because I want to die then, but it just is a reminder, a stoic reminder to be present every day. So there were a lot of tie-ins to this book, which is why I loved it so much. I love this book because there were a lot of tie-ins to Stoicism. They actually refer to Marcus Aurelius and some of the Stoics in this book because there are so many parallels. And so what does that mean for your life? In our busy lives, where we're going to meetings and we have deadlines and we're in traffic and commuter and this and that. Well, you can find the beauty in the mundane. That's the essence of Ichigo Ichie. Find the beauty in the mundane. The coffee is one example, right? So instead of me now sitting there making the coffee, I actually take the time to look at when I'm pouring the water in and how does that look? And then when I finally put the French press down just to see as the grounds settle, and then pouring the coffee into my mug. And it doesn't take any more time. It's just that I'm more cognizant of that. And as I smell the coffee and I feel the coffee mug and how smooth it feels, but I can feel the warmth of the coffee and I smell it and as I slurp, I can hear it. And it brings a whole new aspect to an ordinary event because you're savoring that coffee. Before you get out in that big bad world of yours, you got a little bit of solitude. Well, let's say you're in traffic and you're stuck in traffic in that big bad world, you know? Well, take advantage of the mundane, you know. You look around and you see your car. You're in a nice car, or hopefully a good car that's running. You see the beauty of the technology that's in that car that we tend to take for granted, the GPS, the radios, satellite radio, whatever we have there to keep us comfortable. And whether it's heated seats or whatever, hey, concentrate on that. How does that feel on your back and your butt and all that, and just make the mundane extraordinary. That's what Ichigo Ichie is all about. You and you're listening. A big part of it is listening. And men, we're all guilty of this more than women. I don't know how many times I'm sitting there with my wife next to me and I'm looking at, and I pride myself on trying to listen well, but here I am. And she's saying something and yeah, yeah, I know. That's the way and we're all guilty of it. A lot of us are anyway. And that's a lack of respect. And B, that's not active listening. She has something to say. People around you have something to say. If they're talking to you, you don't look at this. Now I put that down and I'm looking, I'm listening, I'm being an active listener because that moment is never going to repeat itself. Ichigo Ichie. That goes through my head when I'm talking to her now. This moment that I'm talking to her, we could be on the same couch, watching the same show a week from now, at around the same time, but it's a different day, different experience. Our words will be different. So that's another once in a lifetime experience. So don't let it get away. Think about it. And then, if you're in a business, and then you get to work and you're in a business meeting, and not this was going to be a contentious meeting because controllers and the CFO said, hey, you got budget cuts coming down the pike. And that means you got to cut programs and you may have to cut headcount, right? And you as a leader, oh man, and you got your direct reports and they're all arguing about why their piece of the pie should stay and you got to control everything. You got to cut but how do you find Ichigo Ichie there, right? Well, you could have a water bottle and you savor that taste of that water. And just for a nanosecond, you're savoring, the design of your mug and someone made it, or a machine made it or whatever have you, but it's functional. You're looking around the table, and even if you'll have some really good people and you may have one or two knuckleheads and argumentative people, but you kind of savor this meeting as if this could be the last time you see any of them, right? And so that teaches you to approach every meeting with sincerity, with respect, with awareness, with being present, with giving everyone due attention, with the listening that we talked about, active listening. That's a big part of this, right? Is finding beauty in the mundane things of life so that you really can savor those times when you have the promotion and the party for that, or your celebration of your anniversary, your birthday, or marriage, or the big milestones in your life that you should celebrate with vigor. But every day is not that. Every day is what I just described to you with the commuting and the meetings and the phone calls and the reports I have to get done and deadlines. And so that's why Ichigo Ichie is perfect, I think, for today's modern world. Because it, like Stoicism, it tells you don't think about the past because the past is gone. Don't think about the future because there's nothing you can do about the future. There's nothing I can do about economic downturns, political upheavals, wars going on in Ukraine, between Ukraine and Russia, the climate crisis, crime. There's very little that you really control in life, but you do control your perceptions. You control your emotions. You can control what you allow to put you down and make you feel bad about life, or whether or not you are able to look at life realistically, not being Pollyanna, realistically, that bad things are out there. But what are the things in life, the mundane things, the Ichigo Ichie, the one moment, right? The one meeting, the one opportunity, the once in a lifetime concept. What is it about that could really make your day different? My father-in-law just passed away. and he was in home hospice for a little bit. And my wife and I and relatives would be there at his house down the street. And the other day, I grabbed a cup of coffee from the coffee maker there, and after reading Ichigo Ichie and thinking about it and studying it a little bit, I went outside and I decided to consciously use all of my senses, so I could feel the coffee mug, the smoothness of the mug, and feel the warmth of the coffee coming through there. And I could smell, obviously, the coffee and how wonderful it smelled. And then as I tasted and kind of slurped it, I could hear me drinking that coffee, and I could see that coffee. I could look at it and see how it was in the mug. And then there was a hummingbird feeder right there in the property. And I watched a bunch of hummingbirds there, and I was able to, again, use all my senses to appreciate that. An ordinary thing that I normally would see all the time, but this time I made a conscious effort to look at them, look at the beauty of them. And one of them came and fluttered near my ear so I could hear that. So that was pretty cool. And then I looked up and I saw a plane passing by from nearby McCarran International Airport, and the entrails and the clouds and the blue sky, and kind of took all this in. And maybe this is about 10 minutes. But what would have been some ordinary, just going out there, having a cup of coffee, getting a break, getting some fresh air, and reading email, I put that away and I consciously looked at what was around me, what was mundane, the ordinary. Turned out to be an extraordinary time. So that's what you have to do. That's your challenge, to find beauty in the mundane, to make a conscious effort to be present, to be grateful, to be mindful, to look at the beauty around you. My wife and I, there's a street called Sky Post near where we live, and you go up, and there you see all the mountains that are surrounding the developments here. And we noticed them when we first got here, as the developments were still being built. We used to talk about them, but then you're living here, going up that street that gets into our development hundreds of times, you lose track. You don't really pay attention anymore. You just want to get into your development, get home. But now we're actually going up that hill, and we look and we see the way the sun hits the mountains at a particular time that may not look that way 2 hours, 5 hours, 6 hours from now. And so again, it's a brief snippet, but that will never happen again. If we come back up the same day, maybe the mountain looks the same. Maybe there may be clouds that changes the way the mountain looks. Everything is a once in a lifetime opportunity. But again, it's finding beauty and pleasure in the mundane to maximize how you view life and how you go through life. So when I said that, for me, it was really transformational. It is, because now I consciously am looking for the beauty in the mundane. I wrote a little post about it in Facebook, and I told him I'm looking at my desk right now. I've got this gnome right here, given to me by a former agency colleague of mine named Juan Cruz. He was here for a reunion we had a few years ago. He's got top secret on here. So this is a spy gnome. And I've got this coffee mug given by my wife over the holidays. Please do not annoy the writer. He may put it in a book and kill you, right? And then I've got these because I'm a fan of both Deadpool as well as the Chevy Chase Christmas Vacation movies. And so grandkids gave me this over the holidays, Marty Moose from Wally World. And also this, I hope I don't break it, man, but it's this little Deadpool thing, right? And so the reason I'm showing you these things is that these things have been on my desk now, depending on when I receive these, for a little bit. But I made sure that, I started looking at that, a week ago, and I started, okay, I'm appreciating these things, appreciating how they were given to me, why they were given to me, and what meaning they have for me, and that I put them on my desk. You pass by these things all the time, but you look at it, you think about the story behind it, it gives you pleasure, right? That's what Ichigo Ichie is. You have your life to live. You have your responsibilities in business and or nonprofit or what have you. You have all that. You have the pressures of life. Nothing says that you are not going to have that and you won't have that. But one of the ways you can cope is by being present and aware and grateful and thinking about finding beauty in the mundane, in the ordinary things. Um, as the book says, you can transform ordinary moments into extraordinary ones, right? Just by practicing Ichigo Ichie. So I would be very interested to hear what you have to say about this concept. We have the philosophy, I should say, we have a link to the book that I bought. I highly encourage you to get it. It's a wonderful book. The writer's done a great job of not just spelling out the history and the theory of Ichigo Ichie, but also giving you some practical examples of how to incorporate it into your daily lives to make your lives more richer, more fulfilling, more present, right? Not just for you, but for those around you, your loved ones, but even for strangers that you encounter and things like that, for experiences, you know. And it really, I think it really helps balances out all the crap that we have to deal with every day. So let me know how it goes. Please leave comments in the comment section. Love to hear it, how you feel about this concept and if it's working for you. Please go to mikehowardauthor.com. As I said at the beginning of this podcast, you can find links to all my books, and you can find them on every medium. So please read the books, and if you like the books, please leave a review. And if you don't like the books, leave a review too, because I'm good for constructive criticism. I can always get better. And we've got some other guests coming up the pike pretty soon. We've got 2 recent podcasts out, and one with a former Ranger, Special Forces guy named Jack Murphy. I was on his podcast, The Team House, and you can check that out. And then with a good friend of mine, Lorenzo Anselmo of Omega Bond Watches, we had a kick doing a thing here at the house where we had martinis or Vespers, and we walked through our love of watches, and then he showed us his Omega Bond collection and the history behind all of those. So please check that out. You can find that at YouTube and the Ronin Leadership Podcast, or find it in the link in my website. So that's all I have for now, and I hope you make it a great week and great day, and enjoy yourself. And remember to practice Ichigo Ichie. Yeah, it'll be a game changer. All right, we'll talk to you soon. All right, bye.